and it is literally vertical, and it's not rock. It's like sort of sandy dirt terrain. It's a volcanic island, so it's really powdery, and even the rocks that are there just come away. They come loose. Does someone stay behind the abbey? There isn't anything behind it. Like in front of it, you've got the village going down towards the monument, and there's a few little houses around there. And then you've got the what's it, a restaurant in front of it. I mean, I don't want to talk about the family, but they've lost, they can't find their son. It's been 3 weeks. You can imagine how that feels for them. And instead of sort of twiddling thumbs, they're physically like wanting to get something done, and looking anywhere and everywhere that they can possibly think of doing. So it's just so I can't comprehend. I can't put into words because it's not me. No one can imagine it unless they've had the same thing. So we can't judge people and how they react to it. But you can imagine the determination, the frustration that a family's going through, and yeah, I mean, look, I have only come on here on TikTok. The only reason I started even talking about this on here is because I was urged to. Because my group and I have been out here, and I've been doing it since, the Wednesday. He went missing obviously on the Monday, as I've said to you guys before. I found out about it on the Tuesday. I didn't even find out about it on the Monday. I found out on the Tuesday. And straight away, obviously, found out that there was a possible search going on the at 7:30 in the morning on the Wednesday. So I was like, right, well, I'm going to go plan a route to get down to it and look all the way around the road, down through the gaps, through the gullies, through everywhere, all the way to the Mirador, which is a viewpoint, by the way. When I say Mirador, I keep on forgetting that it's not always known what that means. So Mirador in English is a viewpoint. So the viewpoint is Cruz de Hilda, which is the Hilda's cross. That's basically what it means. So, and my group decided that they would come and help me search that afternoon on the Wednesday. So we're like a local hiking group. My friends have been meeting up before I even came onto the island, like 5 years ago nearly. They've been doing it since, years and years. So they know the mountains. They know them better than me, but I've known them for the last 5 years. But what you've got to realise is when you're doing a hike, normally, you go on your trekking app and you decide a point to a point that you want to go on, or you can look at the trekking app, put a specific area like Masco or Tenno, and then you might just go, okay, I'm going to do that hike. Nearly every single hike is on a track or a little path. And then you've also got roads maybe that you cross. We don't normally come off the track because the terrain is something that you wouldn't normally do. You wouldn't choose to go through a cacti bush or many cacti bushes in one area unless you're searching for something. And unless you have a reason to search, you wouldn't go off the track, would you? So this is the problem, it's a different type of search. It's all very well being able to trek, which is what we're used to doing. But when you are coming off the track, and into the terrain you wouldn't normally do, you've got to take your hats off to the likes of Christopher Tenerife and Paul the Rapids, because it's not a normal hike. It's not a normal search. That terrain is ridiculous. And I know there are some frustrations with people feeling like it looks like they're doing the same thing. And there is frustrations that obviously, for example, I would love to collaborate with them in not to go like searching with them or anything like that. I just want to know where they've searched so that we can just make sure that everyone knows what everyone has done, so we know areas that all of us have not done. So that's like the biggest thing. But what they're doing, unless you know this, where we're looking, and you've done it yourself, you can't really comment. It really is difficult, you know, and they are doing a lot to try and help search for Jay. And even in areas that have been covered, it's always good to have an extra person or a set of eyes to maybe go through it again. You don't know what you might have missed. It's that simple. So I really don't want anyone being unkind to the people who are putting their feet on that ground, getting their hands dirty, cuts and bruises everywhere. You know, you don't understand, and I don't mean to sound condescending in any way, shape or form, I really don't, but until you do it, you don't understand how tricky it is. And there are points where you just go, I don't know if I can be bothered to carry on. I can't. And then you get that sort of big, you know, that another wind into you and going, well, hang on a minute, Jay's not home yet. And that's all you can think about is he's still missing. This is something I need to carry on doing, and you carry on. And it is so difficult. And I really just want everyone to understand that the only frustrations I have with anyone who's going out into the mountains is just that knowledge of what they've done in terms of the search, and so that I can tell them what we've done as well, so that we are on the same page to help the process of searching for Jay going a bit better and quicker. That's all I care about. And that should help everyone. But what they're actually doing is a fantastic job, and I don't want anyone taking away what they are physically doing, because it takes a lot and it is not for the faint-hearted. So I just want people to realise how much it takes its toll on you. You know, it's the heat, it's the terrain, it's then the mini microclimate. All of a sudden you're in the heat, you're absolutely exhausted, and all of a sudden the cloud drops, gusts of wind come, you're nearly blown off your feet. You've just got to appreciate, and the fact that the family are doing it as well. They're not trained hikers, but they are just so desperate to find Jay. They are doing that. They're cutting their legs. They're climbing through bramble bushes. And when you see a family doing that, that's love right there. They care. They want their son back. They want their nephew back. They want, you know. And I think it's so horrible, the stuff that's being said about the family, and it needs to stop. Because if that was you, that was your son, that was your family, how would you feel if people were bringing up past experiences, their past? Everyone has a past. Everyone's done something in their lives that they're not proud of. Does that mean that they shouldn't be looked for? Does that mean that they are any less of a person to be found and brought back to their parents? No. So, like I keep on saying, the narrative still needs to be there. That it's about Jay being found and brought back to his family. That's all we can look at. And anything else is just mess and muddy water. So, obviously, we were looking on Saturday, and it, you know, we did cover areas that were extremely difficult. It was felt that obviously the police had done, you know, they'd done their job with the dogs and the type of dogs that were obviously out before. They weren't sniffer dogs, as in scent dogs. They're looking for, the type of dogs they are is looking for someone who is maybe unalive. And even they didn't catch like the scent. So it's a vast area, and people just need to understand how big it is and why it looks like people are climbing the same areas. But at the same time, it would be good to collaborate with maps and stuff. So if anyone's in contact with Chris or with Paul, please pass on this, like, thanks for their, like, literally the sweat and the tears and the grafting they have done. But now I would really urge them to please, 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 you don't have to give it to me directly, give it to the family, give it to Mark, give it to anyone who can just collaborate everything that's been looked at, so that we can work together in finding areas that haven't been searched, so that we can carry on this search more efficiently. But that doesn't discredit what they're doing. Far from it. They're doing a fantastic job. We just need to work together, you know. I've read that. I would absolutely 100% be one of those 100 people that would go out with Chris. Absolutely. We're planning a search on Saturday. So if we can collaborate the search, fantastic. And I'm sure other people, maybe the family, might want to join, you know. The reason I've come on here is to say I've had so many lovely messages from people who are really wanting me to look in different places and sort of say, you know, this person's suggested this area, have you looked at it? And I really want to thank everyone for the efforts in trying to get that information out to people searching. I really, really appreciate it, because I am able to collaborate. Some of the things that I've already done, I will obviously say, you know, I've, like, some people have mentioned tunnels. So the tunnel is like a 1 kilometre tunnel between Masca and Los Gigantes has been done. That's been searched. The other tunnel that runs in the middle of Masca as well, that has been done. If there is a different tunnel, by all means let me know, and I can ask my group if they've checked it, because I haven't. I didn't do any of the tunnels, but my group did. And they know what they're looking for, so they're not, you know, daft. And so I've been focusing, like I've said, since a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago now. I kind of felt like we had done all the paths, and we'd done, like, all of our group. It's not me personally. So there's 6 of us plus me, and obviously I had someone else joining me for after the mountains to an area that he might have tried to get to. So that's why I think people are a bit confused as to why I'm not in the mountains. But once we've done all the paths, we've done all the roads, there was no point in redoing them when there are paths outside of the mountains that come off the mountains down that need doing. So that's what we've been doing. There's lots and lots of little ditches. So there's how many ravines? I might be wrong. It's probably about 4 different ravines probably. And then you've also got little tiny, like, sort of what would be streams coming off, but there's very little water in that area. You very rarely find any water coming down. It's normally from the mountain mist, or maybe when the rain has fallen, it's sort of stayed put into part of the ravine, for example. But when it comes to water, when we say waterfall, I am talking if your drain pipe had burst and it's like just a little trickle going down a rock, that's the sort of waterfall we're talking about. By all means, if you feel there are places like that you want me to search, if it follows on off of a path that comes off the mountain or heads down towards the south, let me know. I've lived in Tenerife probably about 5 years. How do you check the vast dense areas in case he's fallen? So, okay, when we're walking, normally there's maybe 2 or 3 of us. First and foremost, we're looking for footprints in front. That most footprints would be hiking boots, and it's very different to what he was wearing. So we would look for the footprints. Obviously it's been 3 weeks, so it's a bit different now. Then you're looking for disturbances, so slides, maybe damaged vegetation or things that have been crushed would be quite obvious actually. However, because of the wind, with the dust and terrain, it does sometimes obviously blow over things that could have been there. So even your footprints would vanish quite well, maybe within a few days. So what stage we're at now, it's very difficult to have found a footprint, B, any disturbances or slides down a mountain, like down it, and disturbances, because if we know that someone hasn't been down there before, then we're like, okay, that's relevant. Let's have a look around it and see if there's anything that could possibly be. But in the area that is in the mountains, so many people have been down it looking for him, slid down, gone through it. It's been treaded on, which is why it's so difficult now. Now, our team are really focusing on objects or stuff that could have been dropped along the way. So it's difficult to kind of, unless you're looking for something, trying to find those sort of tracks, like footprints, disturbances to the gravel or the ground. Also, obviously, you have to take into consideration his height, his weight, his agility. You have to take into account his health at the time, if he was dehydrated, which we believe he was. So it's very, very difficult. And anyone who's trying, the best, well done for that. So some people have said about metal detectors. I don't have one. I've reached out to a couple of people asking if they would go up there with metal detectors, and a few said that they're not free now, but they might be free over the weekend. So fingers crossed, we might be able to get them to do that. They, I believe, need to have clearance that they're allowed to do it, because it's not just like in England, if you have private land, you have to ask permission to go on the land to do things like that. Because if you find it, technically the person who owns the land's property, if anything. And if you dig something up, you're basically disturbing someone's own land. You're not destroying it, but you're causing damage to a person's land, So you have to be careful. The same as people keep on asking me to go and look in buildings and private land. I can't do that without permission, and I don't particularly want a criminal record, because then I can't work. So yeah, if there is anything, obviously the first thing we would do is contact the police, but we haven't had to do that yet. So yeah, I'm really sorry I've not kept up with your messages. I'm really sorry. I'm really rubbish at this, and I see hearts and stuff. So I think they are thank. So I think I have to say thank you for that, because I'm not sure if that's something. I don't know. Anyway, I keep on getting notified from TikTok something about you've received something, but I don't know what it is. But no, I really, really appreciate. Thank you for the hearts, whatever they are. But I really appreciate it. I think that's people saying they're happy with me. I think. But I do appreciate all the really nice, kind words and support. They're likes. Oh, good. Thank you. Thanks for the likes. So I mean, I can't go on the criminal side of things, and I'm not here for that. I feel like the best way to search is kind of being impartial, The most important thing is to know what he was wearing, what he had on him. That could possibly be what we need to look for. Obviously, it helps if we knew which direction he could have gone, where he could have gone, which we've tried to do. And whenever we've gone on the mountains, whenever we've come off the mountains, whenever I've seen a sign, which I keep on obviously taking photos of the signs, and they're relevant. And the reason they're relevant is because if he's not got battery on his phone, which we know he didn't, he would have seen those signs as the only way of knowing where he was going and directions. So I take those pictures of the signs, not just because I like the pictures of signs. I don't. It's so that I know what he would have seen and how he could have gone, right, okay, I think I recognise that's Puerto Santiago. Puerto, I think that's down near Los Gigantes. That will be down on the coast. If he knows he's been there a couple of days, he could quite easily have known that there are certain areas close to where he was staying, like the different sort of parts of the beaches. And most people know, like, Porto is port, Puerto, like, that is port. Playa is beach. So, port, beach, sea, head down, I can get there. He could have quite easily, when he's seen the maps on the iPhone, noticed certain villages, not necessarily the path, but remembered maybe names of the villages on the way down, like Tamaimo, like El Retamar, that sort of thing. So we have to kind of go on that. But we're doing all the paths that he could possibly have gone down or got lost trying to get down to with no battery. So that's, I just want to explain why we're doing what we're doing. For me, it's process of elimination, and it just proves to then the police that these paths have been done, and maybe if he's not accidentally got lost and missing because he's injured, they need to look at other avenues, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what we're doing. All right, has anyone got any questions? I'm really sorry if I've missed your question. I'm really rubbish at trying to read them, but if you have a question, I'll see if I can try and answer them now. I would like to get maps from Rapids and Chris. That would be really great, and we can collaborate on what we've done. We don't have to work like together in searching, but it's just helpful to know where each other have gone. I'm not going out tomorrow. I went out this morning and searched. Then I had some private classes. Tomorrow I've got private classes most of the day. So I'm back out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah. Basically. See something about a farm or an old farm in the mountains, something like that. There's loads of old farms, abandoned farms everywhere in the mountains and outside of it. We just need to get contact information for them so that we can contact them to ask for permission. Any papers on the phone? Obviously, I leave the investigations to the professionals. I'm searching for Jay. I'm not an investigator, so I can't really do that. But yeah, I've asked actually for more information from Norb and from the Observer on things that they were apparently discussing this evening. I don't really know what was discussed because I was teaching and got back home. But I will look into what they were doing. But I do believe, because I'd had a few messages saying that they were looking about tunnels. Well, 2 of the tunnels our group have cleared and searched. So I don't know if there was a different part. So I wanted to ask them for exactly which one, so that I know, yes, we've searched, or no, maybe there's one that we haven't. But I can ask my friends which one they were talking about. And I've written to Nobs, and I've also written to the Observer this evening, so hopefully we'll be in touch this evening for collaborating on that information. The coastline, yes, people have been searching the coastline, and the Coast Guard were out looking day 2 or 3. So yeah, Yeah, this boat situation going off grid and everything. What you got to understand is most ports and most places have like Coast Guard police manning it. But you have to pay for mooring in the ports, and those who don't want to pay might like moor out of the port and maybe just get a dinghy into the port. So obviously if they're doing the dinghy, the police would know that they're going to the boat and they do survey that area. So it would be very difficult to get onto the boat without being like seen. Then driving the boat, which you have to notify where your boat is at any one time. And then if you go off grid, it means that you've parked your boat up and you've moored up and you've switched it off. So it shows that you're not travelling. So, but I'm not a marine expert. I just know that from friends who have boats here that I've looked after their boats and I've gone on boats with them. So, yeah. I know that obviously Mark's asked for everyone's maps that are searched, and I don't know if he's got anyone else's, but the last statement he'd made, he'd said that he hadn't received them from other people, which he really wants, because he wants to present it to the police to say, this has all been searched, you now need to focus your investigation on a different avenue. So it's actually helping the case. This is why I've been pushing for this to be sorted, you know. Great, I'm really glad that people are starting to put it up. That's great. It doesn't have to go to me, it needs to go to the family or Mark, but it helps if we all know what everyone's done anyway, so that we don't redo things and waste each other's time, you know. There are areas actually that you can get buggies and you can get dirt bikes around, but you're not allowed to go on dirt bikes or buggies in the actual mountains. You can only do it off the mountains. You can do it on the roads and some of the tracks, but you're not allowed to go off on the terrain because it is like a natural protected area. So you've got to be a bit careful. Right, so this lady saying he was wrong, where he was walking the wrong way. Actually, it technically is the right way if you're going via Apple Maps, because from the Airbnb, if you're going up the road, at the top near the viewpoint, is actually a little trek up onto a path that goes down towards Santiago del Teide, but just above it. And it heads down, and it would be a route that he would and could take. There is another access to that path that you can get to, which ironically is just after where his phone pinged, which is why I've been saying I've been taking the routes that his iPhone would have probably taken him. So it actually directs you that way rather than on the road, because the road's not very safe to walk on. So it makes more sense, actually, that he would have gone that way, which looks like the wrong way if you're walking on the roads, but actually the path's a safer route out of the mountains than the road is. If you knew the road, you'd know. So her seeing him walk that way, she might have thought it was the wrong direction for walking back to Los Cris, but actually the Apple iPhone would direct you up the wrong way, but then to connect onto a path that then goes down the right way, and it's the safer way. I would actually have done that anyway, so I don't blame him for doing that. There are so the wild animals, there are no predators in terms of wild animals. All you've got there really is rabbits. You have got birds of prey, but the type of birds of prey there are more likely to catch living small animals than they are anything else. You do have stray dogs that I keep on saying. Obviously, it is hunting season at the moment, on a Thursday and a Sunday, and they are careless with their dogs, which is really sad. So they are trained. The dogs are trained to meet them at a certain point after hiking time, but they don't get to the car by that time. The farmers just leave them and then pick them back up if they're there the next time they go out, which is a very big problem here with like rescue centres trying to help find like the hunting dogs that are stray. So the only kind of predator out there really is a very, very hungry hunting dog that's been just abandoned by its owner because they don't really care. It's quite sad, but I can't really comment on anything else other than that. There has been teams that have gone along the coastline. Yeah, that's been done. The only things we can't go on to, like I keep on saying, is private land. So fincas, sorry, I keep on saying fincas. Fincas are like farms and allotments that people own. So they need searching, and plantations. So you've got a lot of banana plantations, mango, orange, tomato, but mostly banana in the coastal areas. There's a lot of banana plantations. This is the problem. Someone's just said, obviously, am I in touch with regarding places that have been searched with other people's? No, that's what I want. I've put mine up on TikTok so that people know mine. I've not put all of them. I've only put the ones off the mountains. On the mountains, I've searched all of the past, like not personally, but as a group, we've covered them all. Spoken to the observer and I've messaged him, and I'm just waiting to hear back from him. The biggest thing that we've got is some of the abandoned buildings. So the reason they're abandoned is quite often either someone obviously is no longer here, and either there is no family to pass on the property, or there's a family conflict as to who owns it. So it's an inheritance conflict, and that takes, I'm not taking years, I'm talking like decades to sort out. So it's trying to find out who actually owns the property, get permission, and it's difficult. Permission to get land searched is just a matter of trying to find out who owns the house or the property or the land or the holding, then being able to find them for their contact number or on social media somehow, and then waiting for them to get back. But a bit like in England or the UK, you have to apply for each individual land holding dwelling as like land registry requests, and you have to pay for it individually, and there are tons. So we're trying to do it in a different way if we can, because I don't know about you, but to have to do that with every single property that someone's gone, oh, that he could be in there or he could not be in there, it's a lot. There are a few tunnels, but the tunnels have been searched. 2 of the tunnels that I know of, my group have searched. One being near Los Gigantes, the other one's just up in Masca, but they've been done. We had to get permission to one of the things, one of the tunnels up in Masca, because it goes on one of these very grumpy landowners who doesn't particularly like people going up there, but the police did speak to him and he allowed them to go on there, from what I believe, and we managed to get him to allow us to go through the tunnel bit, so it's not far. Oh, have I checked the cactus field? Right, that whole area has cactus, and everything has been searched in terms of areas you can. The hardest bits are in the ravine with the brambles and stuff, but it's a difficult situation because you would notice a disturbance to get them to have someone fall down into it, but try to get down to look is like going through a bramble hedge in the middle of a ravine with a slope like that. So yeah, not all of it can be got to search, but then you've got to think, would you find anything in there if the dogs were around that area anyway, and they would have kind of sniffed or sort of made it aware that there could be a scent around there. So it's kind of one of those situations where you have to look, but you also have to think in your head, is this likely that he's going to be under like 10 foot of thick prickly brambles with cacti in the way and everything else, and there's no disturbances? Like, you kind of got to have a little bit of common sense with it, but they're the only areas really that I feel haven't been searched. But you're in two minds as to whether it's likely. I'm all right. I'm sort of very, very tired from walking like loads. I can't even describe how many kilometres I've walked in the last 3 weeks. I'm very sunburned. I'm scratched up. I don't know if you can still see the marks from the bramble bush. That's from just Saturday, and my legs are even worse, and my stomach as well. I am interested to know if anyone has any suggestions of routes that they can see that are not necessarily in the mountains anymore, coming off them would be better, because they pretty much, most of the routes have been searched. It's just the really, really difficult terrain now that hasn't. And that's the bit that I know Chris was near us when we were searching on Saturday. I think he noticed that the family were there, and obviously I was with them on Saturday. So the beach is really difficult to get to. You can, but you need equipment. You need a lot of effort to get down there, and it's hours of walking from the road to the beach, which is why I've also asked Norms for the boat time that it was supposed to have left, because it would take hours from when he left that blast ping to get down that way. Hours. So if the boat had gone like 4 hours later, okay, but if it was like an hour later, half an hour later, no chance, unless you've got a plane. And there's a no-fly zone for drones and all that, unless you're an emergency. The Coast Guards did look, and so did the search and rescue helicopters, and some of the drones had been out on the Tuesday. I think one of my friends who's search and rescue helicopter went out on the Tuesday, and they did thermal and infrared, so that was done. One was in the day and the other was at night, and I think they did about 5 round trips. I'm not sure, I can't remember the exact amount. I think it was about that. I'm not quite understanding your question, Nanny D. You're not actually meant to turn that thingy off through tracker thing, are you? I'm so sorry. I'm not sure of what you mean. If you can maybe word it differently, I might be able to help answer that. Right, so boats do turn their tracker off when they are moored up, or they're stationary, because you don't technically have to put it on. It's unusual to have a boat stay for 9 days in that area, but you don't know whether it had mechanical issues and it didn't want to pay for the port, so it's just going back and forth from the dinghy to get equipment or whatever. That does happen. It's saving money, not mooring up in the port. So it's not unusual, but it isn't something that's like a normal thing, especially in the area. Anything to do with investigations, not my forte. It's not to do with me. I know the right people are speaking about it, and the right people will make noise about it, and they can do it in a much better way than me, who's just literally hiking and searching for Jay. I'm not a criminologist, nor am I anything to do with the police as such. I'm just trying to aid them into the right direction of what needs to be looked at, so that they can go into the avenues that everyone's suggesting. but I want to keep an open mind, because you just don't know at this point. No one knows. And I'm not into conspiracy theories, so I just don't want to go down that route, if that makes sense. Apparently you can only turn it off by using physical. Are you talking about the phone notification? I don't know enough about the phone tech to do that or answer that. That's a question for someone who has that expertise. But if someone finds a way of finding out where he'd gone, where he's been, and then I can search, no problem, I'll do that. But I'm not doing that myself. I'm not looking into that because it's not my expertise. I can only do what I am capable of, you know. I'm going through, sorry, I'm trying my best to go through everyone. You know, people appreciate people's hard work and efforts, and it is lovely to have people appreciate it, but it's not necessary. I don't need thank yous. I don't need like any sort of recognition. I'm just doing this because if this was my nephew, my son, my whatever, my family, I would want to think that someone who's local, who knows the area, who can help, would help. And that's just my position on it. And that's what I'm doing. Like I said, if anyone has any contacts with any of the people that are searching, that can get in contact with them and just ask them if they can just send their mappings that they've searched to Mark or the family, and then we can kind of let each other know what we've done, so that we're not going over old ground, just to help each other, you know. I've tried all of the hiking routes. So I go on one track, my friends go on another track, and my other friends go on a different track. So we cover maybe 2 or 3 paths on the same day. So even though you might have only seen mine, they've done theirs. They do it a similar way to me, but they also do it with the similar method that when you've got a part going up and then you've got another, the person in front checks if the path has footprints, checks for disturbances to the land, but also checks, say for me, because I'm small, I usually look down a ravine. My friends who are taller would look up a ravine, so that we can cover both sides, and we can also, the person in front checks there's no footprints or disturbances as well. So that's how we do it. I'm just sorry, I'm really sorry, I'm trying to keep up with all these questions. If I've not answered your question, like, just pop me a message if I've not answered it on here in my inbox, and I'll try my hardest to get through them. I've had so many lovely messages and questions. I've just had a message about PayPal. I don't need to receive money, and I don't want anything from this. You know, I appreciate some of these likes, I think, have put something on, but honestly, I really appreciate that. But I don't need money or anything like that. I just want, if you want to give anything, I would prefer it was to a charity like a search and rescue charity, a missing persons charity, a charity that maybe can help the family. Or I mean, it's not for me. I don't need anything. I've not got a son missing. I've not got a family member missing, you know. So I would rather people put it towards organisations who support people that have or are able to search, like search and rescue. I believe it's better to do it direct. So I'd rather people did that than give me anything. But I do appreciate those who have given me something. I don't really know how to look at it, or what if anyone has given me anything. I don't really know where you find that, but if you have, you didn't need to, but I really appreciate it. That's kind. I don't know how you do it, but I do appreciate it, and thank you for the likes. But that's not why I'm here. And when I realise or work out how I've done anything, and if anyone has something like a penny or whatever it is, then when I work out what and how I do it, I can put that to what I've just said, like one of the missing persons charities or something. But yeah, I don't really understand how TikTok works, guys. This is all new to me. I'm just on here so that people understand what we're doing. But yeah, just to keep you updated on the search. So most of the paths from the Santiago Port area and down towards Tamaimo, nearly all of them have been covered. Now it's going down under Tamaimo, down between Los Gigantes, Puerto Santiago, Abuano, all of those different little villages coming off of it as well. They need searching. We've also got to do the other side of the mountain now, which is going to be fun. So we've got to do towards Buena Vista. Some of them have been done by my friends, but we've got so many. There's like 16. There were 16 the other day. I've done 3 more, so we've got like 13 left to do. My friends are working this week, so they can't help so much. Like I said, I really appreciate everyone's kindness, but I really don't need gifts. That's so kind of you, but I really don't need gifts. Please, please, please put your money and energy, if you want to support anything, to somewhere like the missing persons charities, the search and rescue charities, or, you know, I don't know, a charity that will support the families that are going through this, and Jay's family that are going through this. So I believe they've obviously got a GoFundMe page. I'm sure that they would appreciate people's help with that. I don't know what they're doing with it. Obviously, I don't have anything to do with that side. I'm just searching, and I can't recommend anything, but I do recommend either those GoFundMe pages or a charity. But honestly, you don't need to support me. The way to support me is if you can send me any plantations, any private land owner contact details, and I can contact them. That's all I'm asking for here, so that we can cover the private lands, because that's really the biggest thing for me, is to get that covered. All right. Yeah, let's hope he gets found soon, because it's agony for the family. You know, I can't even comprehend. No one can understand what they're going through, bless them. If you do have any mappings or anything that you kind of feel it's relevant that I could go down, please send me a message, a PM. And any landowner, plantation, that sort of thing, please again send me a PM. If it's like a thing that you can't do it via here, I do have an Instagram, but I will PM you that, because I don't really want to share it all over here, because I'm quite private. And in the nicest possible way, I have students who often try and find me on social media, and I don't particularly want my students finding me. As you can imagine, as a teacher, I'd rather not. I love them all to bits, but it crosses the line when your students try and contact you. and you can't have that on your social media. I do know that one of my students messaged me yesterday saying, I saw you on TikTok. I didn't know you did TikTok. I thought you were really old and you didn't do TikTok. I was like, thanks. That person's an adult student, so I don't mind that. But it made me laugh. I say adult, they were like the same age as Jay, funnily enough. I have had a lot of my students ask what they can do, and I've said to them, can you just spread the word to any of your people that you follow on TikTok? And one of my students, through her mum, she's only about 15, sent me a message with about a list of all these different TikTok people, and it's all like Fortnite, like celebs. I got quite a number of like famous celebs, like I can't think of his name now, Louis Fonzi and stuff like that, who's in Puerto Rico, which is lovely. It's really nice, but it did make me laugh. Like, they're trying to help, you know. That's locals for you. They do try and help. So I have been trying to send messages to their TikTok followers, and they were like, if they respond to you, let me know, and ask them for their autograph. I really want them to I want to have their autograph. I want to meet them, you know. So, there is that. Right. Any more questions before I go? I've got to teach tomorrow. So the school's all shut now, so I'm not at school at the moment. But I do private tuition.
Oh.